And welcome back to the SuperCaZt. This is the Superfost, the man who put the super in SuperCaZt. And I'm joined as always by my buddy and co-host,
Steve Z, the man who put the Z in SuperCaZt.
And as you probably already know, this is our SuperCaZt Extras. Just a little something we like to do every now and again to sort of break away from our normal movie reviews.
It's a little less structured, yeah, and sometimes it's just us ranting.
It will happen from time to time.
May or may not be good to listen to, but sometimes we just have to get it out there.
But we're going to try to keep things light and fresh and fun tonight. Or today, whenever you're listening to this. It's night when we're recording, so. But that's neither here nor there. We're just going to talk about a couple things that's been both on our minds and kind of reminisce. You know, we're getting to that age, man, where we're looking back quite a bit, and want to get into some things that we've been thinking about talking about. What's one thing you'd like to discuss here on the Extras today, pal?
All right, so our first topic, and I guess the whole theme for the whole episode is nostalgia.
Yeah.
That's what we're all about. And for me, I just got very nostalgic for this the other day. I was just flipping through, trying to find something on, I guess it was Amazon Prime, trying to find something to watch. And I just thought about, remember the good old days when you get done with your homework, or actually I didn't have that much homework on Friday, but moms would take us in their cars, take us to the rental store. And I remember,
oh my gosh,
at that point, just leave me alone for the next 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes. I'm going to walk up and down these aisles, look at these cases.
Yeah, it was a magical experience.
And just try to find something for the weekend. And it's just the rental store. It was such a great experience, and I kind of miss it.
It was. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I mean, you know, I like the convenience of digital stuff and, you know, on-demand kind of thing. I know you're the more hard copy guy. We'll probably discuss that at a later time. But as far as what you're talking about with the video store, yeah, man. I mean, I think it's safe to say you and I probably went to the same video store first. Because we both grew up in Coleman. Shout out to Coleman. And we had a little store that was not name brand. It was sort of just a local establishment called Video Express. Shout out to Video Express if they're still in business, but I don't think they are. But
probably not. There's very few video stores though.
But if you worked there, you had anything to do with that place and you're listening, shout out to you, because yeah, it was a magical experience to go in there on Friday afternoon. But what stunk was when you thought all day at school about a certain movie you wanted to watch, or video game, as it really became, and it wasn't there when you got there. And then you just had to find something to just, you know, satisfy you. Did you ever have an experience like that?
Yeah, the video game was the big one. I mean, generally I could find plenty of titles, like movies, especially like the new releases. They'd always have like 10 or 15 of them. And plus, my parents, they were pretty good in with the owners. Yeah. So sometimes they would set stuff aside for us. So
well, that's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, the video games was the big one. I remember there was The Empire Strikes Back on NES. I was trying to get that for like a month or two at a time, like just waiting. I'm like, when's it going to come back? Whose has it? And finally I did get to play it, and it was kind of a letdown just because it was so hard.
It was a tough game. Yeah, I'm with you though, man. Like, what was the game that I was trying to think about here a minute ago? And there's so many. Basically on Super Nintendo, anything on Super Nintendo was pretty much a luck of the draw if it was there. It's just because it was so popular at the time.
Yeah, I remember Donkey Kong Country was the big one. That was...
Yes.
If you could get that one, you're set.
Oh my gosh, man. That was such a fun game. I remember you and I playing that for hours. I mean, you could just leave us alone. We'd be... did we ever beat it completely? I don't remember.
We didn't. I've beaten it just because I've on this. Yeah, I beat it at the beginning of the pandemic, and it was one of the biggest accomplishments of my life.
There you go.
That's very petty there.
That is really cool. So yeah, for those of you that don't know the experience of going into a video rental store, I mean, you remember the last time you went into a video rental store?
It was college.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah. And it was bad because I remember Movie Gallery was like the big one that came later. And it was kind of like a lesser chain. Like, it was kind of sad because they would put out the mom and pop places, and they didn't really offer you a superior product.
Right.
I remember Blockbuster was always pretty good, and so was Hollywood Video is my favorite, but there's just they were pretty rare.
Yeah, I remember in Jacksonville where we went to school, they had a movie gallery, but then they had this other place that I ended up going. You probably remember it, don't you? It was like a older place. It was like I'm trying to remember the name of that place. I think it became a movie gallery, but I think it was something else at first. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, it eventually became a movie gallery. That's mainly what I remembered as.
But yeah, that was just an experience that we as kids and early teens just really look forward to on Friday. That was what got us through school on Friday. It's like, okay, if we can just get through our math test, we can go to the video store and rent NBA Jam.
Yeah, and it was great because you had it for the whole weekend.
Yes.
And usually that was a good thing. But sometimes, I don't know about you, sometimes you get a dud.
Yeah,
my gosh. I'm stuck with this for the weekend.
Yep.
I guess I'm just going to have to get good at this game. I'm going to see if you remember this one story, though.
Okay.
You and I went and got a game. I was staying up at your house, and we got a game on PlayStation. We played it for a grand total of like 30 minutes before we convinced your mom to take us back. Just swap it in so we'd have a different game for that weekend.
I think I remember. What was the game? Do you remember the game?
Independence Day.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It was so bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what... I probably picked it, thought it was going to be fun. It sucked.
It was really bad.
It was
epic.
Terrible. I mean, I don't know what I was thinking. I really don't, but I just thought, you shoot aliens or something, but it just, it was not a fun game at all.
Yeah, but that was the thing. Your weekend was made.
Yep.
For me, it was always my family. We went on like the 5 for 5. I get 5 movies for $5 as long as they're the old releases, and that's really how I found tons of great movies. And usually I would get different ones, but I went on a kick there where I would just get Highlander every other time I went. So that's how I became obsessed with that movie.
So there was a game that when my brother first got PlayStation, there was a game that came out called Game Day 98, and I was so excited for this game because I was getting it for Christmas, and I had Jerome Bettis on the front of it, and the graphics just looked amazing. I went and watched some videos of that game the other day on YouTube, and I'm like, this is terrible. I mean, I don't know. I guess it was better than Madden 96, I guess, but they're like block players. Like their whole bodies are blocks stacked on each other, and it's just, oh man.
Yeah, I don't think I could go back and watch like an NBA game from that.
Oh, you need to. It's a really fun experience because you're just like, wow, my 10-year-old little self thought that was awesome. And it really wasn't. At least not compared to today's graphics, anyway. But
yeah. Well, I guess that could be a segue into our next topic.
yeah.
Yeah. So our next topic is one that you thought of. So why don't you hit it up for us?
Okay, so I had this thought because we were talking about video games, and there's always these games that you associated with people, but you never owned yourself. Did you ever have the experience like that? I know you mentioned renting that with me, but anything else or any other friend or family member had a game that you actually never owned?
Yeah, there was several, like especially my older cousin Daniel. He had like his own NES library.
Yeah.
And it was so great when I would get to go to his house and just try out new games. Sometimes they weren't that great.
Yeah.
Like I remember playing the X-Men game. I was so excited to play it, and it was really bad. But for me, I think the coolest thing was playing systems that we didn't own. Like I loved going to a friend's house and playing the Sega Genesis or playing Sonic, and also same thing with the Nintendo 64. I love going over to people's house and playing GoldenEye. That was just the best.
Yeah. For me, I remember going to my cousin's house, Michael, and he had Mike Tyson Punch-Out. And I just thought that was the best game. I thought that game was fun, even though I don't think I'd get past like the third guy or something. But it was always fun. And then my brother's friend, Carrie, you remember him, they had a Sega Genesis. Him and his brother Daniel had a Sega Genesis. But then they got, remember this? It was like virtual Game Boy, what was it? You know what I'm
Sega
like,
CD?
No, you look in the goggles and it was like red. It was like
the Virtual Boy.
Virtual Boy, yeah. I tried that one time. They got that one time, and I was like, it was crazy. Like, it hurt my eyes. Like, I couldn't do it.
That's everything I've heard about that system is like, it just gave you a headache.
It was terrible. Like, it was like cool at first. You're like, oh, this kind of neat. And then you're just like, the more you looked at that red, or at least for me, it just hurt my eyes like bad. So I was just like, yeah, I don't think I'll play this again.
That's not one that you generally want. It's considered to be like one of the worst consoles ever.
Yeah, I guess it was kind of neat because it was sort of novel kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
But the big thing is when my brother got a PlayStation. I think that was a really momentous thing because, and you were with me when he talked about it. We were going to, I think, my cousin's to swim, and on the way there, he was talking about somebody had PlayStation, talking about Twisted Metal 2, which we'll probably do a whole show on Twisted Metal 2 at some point. I mean, because if you're our age and you haven't played Twisted Metal 2, you've missed out, man. Let me tell you.
Yeah, just car combat games in general. That was a great genre.
Definitely. But yeah, there was things like that. My cousin also had Tecmo Bowl. You played Tecmo Bowl, didn't you?
Yeah. There was a few people I knew that had that. I never owned it.
I never did either.
A great one was this NBA game that my cousin Derek had, and it had like 80 stars on it. It was like the 1980s, early 90s NBA stars, and you just participated in like one-on-one events. Like you could play horse, you could play one-on-one basketball, and it was tons of fun. But even though it was kind of silly at times, I remember like the announcer sounded really weird, and yeah, it's nothing as fast-paced and awesome as NBA Jam, but it was still a game I wish I had.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you know, you had those games. There was this game that I thought was cool for a minute, and that was that NFL Blitz that was sort of like NBA Jam for football kind of thing. I think it was like, 7-on-7 players, and you could like pile drive your opponent.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was just some craziness.
Yeah, that was more like NFL meets WWF or WWE.
But yeah, you just had those games. Any other fun renting memories that you got, man?
Not really. I think we got it covered. It was just different time. I mean, obviously when you're an adult, you just go out and get what you want. But back then it was just kind of like a fun little club.
It was.
Going and hanging out and playing different games, trying out different systems.
And that's the cool thing about it is, and I think we've said it before on the program, that, you know, we're at the age where I think we've really grown up in the best time of, like, especially like video games, because, you know, we grew up, Nintendo had just come out, like, I think before, like, 2 or 3 years before we were born, something like that. So, you know, we've really grown up with the video game industry, and to see where it is now with PS5, I mean, can you believe there's already been 4 other PlayStations and now there's a PS5? I mean, it's crazy.
They're eating her. And then they're going to eat me. Oh my God! The neighbors are what?
Satisfaction for one night?
John, what happened? Get enough, I'll tell you.
You guys fighting or what?
What happened?
This letter.
What letter?
Jeez. John, what happened?
I don't know. He won't tell me.
Huh? Jim.
Tell us. What happened?
Jim, what is this letter?
Tell us. Go ahead. Tell us.
Why don't you explain to us? Come on, we're your best friends.
Sorry, I was hiding from this from you guys.
Oh man.
But this looks like your brother. I didn't know you have a brother.
It's my father.
What? This is your real father?
Yes, it is.
Are you sure? I didn't know you had a father. I thought we are all orphans.
Garbage day! Huh? No!
And now for something completely different.
And welcome back. Here we are, tuned in for our last segment. And this one's, it's kind of something I always think of. And I know you don't like that word guilty pleasure, but it's one of those things where, I don't know, sometimes there's a movie that I know that most people thinks is terrible, that it's arguably or subjectively not good.
Yeah.
But I still like it. I still
Right.
love it. And it's
Right.
like a movie that I generally reach for. I guess it's on, like, I'm not going to say a bad day, but, you know, it's just comfort food.
Right.
And sometimes it's like a palate cleanser. Like if I watch something that's really heavy, I'm not quite sleepy, ready to go to bed, I'll watch something like this. So I call them just the guilty pleasure pile. I've got a few that are just go-to. It's just like,
Go for it,
got
man.
them on speed dial, if you will, if you
Sure.
that exists. But they're movies that I always pop in.
Yeah.
And my first one is one that I know some people say it's like terrible. It's a really bad reviewed movie. Because I was just curious one day to see what the IMDb rating was and sort of what critics thought about it at the time. That's Weekend at Bernie's.
Ooh, really? People don't like that movie?
Yeah, a lot of people don't like it. I mean,
That's crazy. That's a
They-
great film.
they just think it's too morbid, like walking around with a dead guy.
You know?
But I like it. It's just perfect 80s.
Yeah.
I like the song. As soon as the song comes on, it's just it's like that reggae fake sound, but
Yeah.
just I like the vibe of it. I like how it's very light.
Yeah.
I like the duo of the two leads. They're just
Right.
very funny. I mean, Andrew McCarthy, he's a great actor of the time. I
Right.
don't know what happened to his career. It's just like 80s, went to 90s, and he's done at that point. But it's
I think he's doing a lot of behind the camera work. I saw an interview with him actually not too long ago, and he's doing a lot of directing for TV, I think, nowadays.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But that's the first one I think of. Is just one that I like to pop in just whenever I need something light, something easy.
Okay, so yeah, I don't like the term guilty pleasure, but I understand that, you know, it is what it is. And for me, when I think of the term guilty pleasure, one movie really sticks in my head automatically, and that's Batman Forever. I don't know what it is about this film, but it just came in such a really interesting part of my life where it was like I was coming out of the kid part of life and kind of coming into a younger adult kind of thing. And so, you know, there's things in the movie that you notice that you didn't maybe notice a year or two before. So maybe that's it, you know, kind of growing up and everything. And I really think Val Kilmer is an excellent Batman. I do. I think he's a great Batman. I think he's a great, maybe even better Bruce Wayne. In fact, I'm going to shock you, man. I think he was a better Bruce Wayne than Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne. I mean, as far as acting the suave, billionaire, playboy type, I think he pulled it off a little bit better. But we're not, you know, this is not a movie review, but it was just one of those, it's just one of those films where I love the soundtrack. I have the soundtrack on my phone, and I'll listen to, you know, Kiss from a Rose and everything. And so that movie is just really personal for me. And I know a lot of people don't like it, and it signaled the end of the Batman franchise until Nolan came around. But I don't think it's near as bad as Batman and Robin. I think there's definitely a lot more to say positive about Batman Forever than there is Batman and Robin. Batman for Robin, I can't defend that movie for my life. So, but Batman Forever, I'll die on that hill. I think it's a good film.
Yeah, I think it's probably underrated. I think it has its moments.
Definitely does.
It's definitely an interesting movie to watch. I'll say, I'll give it that. It's some of the choices that Schumacher makes in it are just kind of like, what drug were you on when you did this movie? It's just kind of crazy.
I've heard, and I think I've actually heard in an interview with the late Joel Schumacher, that he actually wanted to make it darker.
Yeah.
And DC was like, no. And Warner Brothers was like, no, you gotta make it kid friendly. We gotta sell Happy Meals, and, you know.
Yeah, it's course correction from Batman Returns.
Right. And somewhere out there, there's a rumor that there is a Schumacher cut of this film, and it's like way darker. And I would love to see it.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I really would. But I think Joel did not want to make it as cartoony as he was eventually instructed to. And yeah, like you said, there's some things. I mean, what's Bruce Wayne doing? Getting a 25-year-old man, adopting a 25-year-old guy. Like he is not a kid. I mean, come on.
It's silly, and I guess that's a big thing about these films is you have to throw logic out the window.
Yeah. So there's one for me. How about your next one, man?
So my second one, a lot of people say this is like a 5 or a 6. For me, it's a 9 or a 10. It's a movie that I just love the tone. It's kind of like we were talking about Singing in the Rain. It's just a movie that makes me smile and puts me in a good mood. Teen Wolf.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Teen Wolf, probably some of the worst basketball action that's ever been photographed and put on film. Michael J. Fox is not believable as a star basketball player.
No, he's not.
But, throw all that to the side, it is a fun movie. It is the only movie where a high school guy turns into a werewolf and he becomes awesome at basketball, and everybody just loves it. They're just like, nobody questions it. They're just like,
no,
he's awesome. I want to hang out with the wolf. Yeah, the wolf's so cool. It's just a great movie.
But the best part is when you figure out the dad is a wolf too.
Oh yeah, that's a great scene.
No, yeah, man. That I love Michael J. Fox. I think he is just like, he was perfect for this role. Like, he's so good as Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
I would probably call that just a good film, period. But I get that there was probably
that's what I'm
a
saying.
lot of eye rolling by some people.
Yeah, for me it's awesome. I mean, I'm putting it on there mainly because Michael J. Fox thinks it's stupid. He's just like, this is a dumb movie. Why did I do that? But you got another one?
Yeah, man. So another one from my childhood, and I know some people don't like this film, and I think it's underrated, but that is Warren Beatty's Dick Tracy. That was a film that I grew up on and just loved. I adored this film, and I still do. I still think it's a great film. I think it's really well cast. I think it's a very underrated film. I don't know if it really counts as guilty pleasure, because I know a lot of people do like this film, but I've heard some detractors, so I'm going to go ahead and place it in guilty pleasure pile, with your permission, and say that I love Al Pacino as Big Boy. I mean, because he's perfect to overact, because that's what he does all the time in other movies, you know, and so to get to do it as Big Boy, I think it's perfect, and I love the soundtrack there. Mandy Patinkin and Madonna singing together. I mean, come on, that's awesome. So yeah, it's a film that I think is not devoid of mistakes and devoid of certain plot devices and stuff, but I still enjoy it. It's still a fun film, and I have it in my DVD collection and still watch it to this day. So
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad film at all. I think it's really good. I wouldn't put it. I mean, I guess if you put it as a guilty pleasure, I guess so. I mean, it's flawed, but I really like it.
Yeah.
My last one, and this is one that's kind of controversial.
All right.
I think Grease 2 is better than Grease.
Ooh, I have heard that before.
Yeah, I like it better. I think it buys into the whole shtick of we're going to be as corny and just stupid as possible. I like it a lot. I mean, I think just the premise of this British guy coming over, going to school, and he likes this girl, but she doesn't like him because she's like, I only like guys that have motorcycles. So he decides to save up his money and buys a motorcycle, fixes it up, and he's like basically like a superhero. He puts on these goggles, and everybody's like, "Who is that guy? It's so crazy." And it's just so funny. I mean, the songs aren't very good, but I don't think the songs in Grease were that good. Personally, I think they're just kind of silly.
Isn't Michelle Pfeiffer in that movie?
Yeah, it's Michelle Pfeiffer in one of her early roles.
Yeah.
And I really like it. I think it goes on a little too long, but if I want a silly, just stupid movie, this is one of my favorite go-tos.
So I've tried to watch this movie, and I admit, I'm a fan of the original Grease. You know, I'm a musical theater kid, and by the way, rest in peace to Olivia Newton-John. She passed away a few days ago.
Oh, Xanadu would be a good one too for this.
Yeah. But I just don't like. I'm on this. I'm gonna oppose you on this one, man. I mean, you know, hey guys, we disagree sometimes, and this is kind of what I tried to like it, and it just, I don't know, it just, the first one has a charm to it that the second one doesn't, and it's not my cup of tea. But if you like it and other people like it, you know, I'm not here to bash you, and I'm not here to say you're wrong or anything like that. I'm just here to say, you know, it's just it's just not a movie that I enjoy that much. I think it does some things very well, and I'm not saying it's the worst movie ever, but if you're comparing it to the original Grease, I just don't think there's a contest there.
My thing is, yes, it's crass, yes, it's stupid, but it knows it's almost like self-aware.
True.
Like,
yeah.
we're just going to take it even crazier with this one. So that's kind of why I like it. And just as we're going on this topic, I just like a lot of these movies. That's why we're just going to limit it to 3.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I got tons of, like, monster movies, horror movies, just random movies from the 70s that I just would throw in here, too, but not going to.
We might share some more at a later time. I'm going to stop myself there on that list because, like you said, I've got quite a few, and they're all starting to come back as I think about it, but I think we could go on and on, pretty much is what we're saying. Steve and I have a very wide palette as far as movies go, and he does like some movies, as we just noted just now, that I don't like, but, you know, for the most part, him and I have a very shareable movie taste, so.
And we're not snobs either.
As good as being in the championship if none of us get to play.
It doesn't matter how you play the game, it's whether you win or lose. And even that doesn't make all that much difference.
I get it, Coach. What's their problem?
Let me give you a little advice. There's 3 rules that I live by. Never get less than 12 hours sleep. Never play cards with a guy who's got the same first name as a city. And never go near a lady who's got a tattoo of a dagger on her body. Now you stick with that. Everything else is cream cheese. Great game there, Scotty.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, so this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed talking about these topics. Just nice, laid back. Thanks for listening. Hopefully this got your mind jogging a little bit, and please leave us some comments. We love that, especially on our YouTube page. So leave us some comments, especially if you have any future topics, because sometimes this is actually kind of hard to come up with some of them. So we'd like to hear some audience input. So thanks for joining us on the SuperCaZt.
Definitely.
Next time, tune in. We have Man of Steel.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us here on the SuperCaZt. If you haven't already, be sure to follow us on Twitter at SuperCaZt with a Z. And we also have a Facebook group. Just search SuperCaZt and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn off notifications so you can be notified when we drop a new episode. And thank you so much for being a part of us here on the SuperCaZt.